Chances are that you are different. Whereas others only focus on one passion in their lives, you, on the other hand, want it all. Why learn just one language when you can learn all of them? And Da Vinci and true polymaths are what you really much look up to, and what describes you best because you excel in so many areas. Well, that's at least what I dream of. It's like a work in progress. The reality of having many hobbies and interests is actually that you're really good at being kind of average at lots of things. It's so hard to actually keep up with so many hobbies and interests that you have and pursue them at the same time. And besides that, have an actual life as well. I have many interests as well. Like I study many languages, I read a ton, I play instruments, I run a YouTube channel, I exercise a lot, I travel a lot. And I don't say this to flex because I'm really average in all of these fields, but I just love trying out many things at the same time. In this video I want to share with you my top tips what actually worked for me to figuratively keep all the balls in the air at the same time and see decent progress in all of your passions and hobbies at the same time. But before that, you know what? I tell you a sure way to actually mess it all up. And it is to, once you get started to like develop multiple hobbies or passions at the same time, to kind of try to do it all at the same time and maybe treat it like a job. For example, many people get into learning languages, then they do some sports, then they learn an instrument, then they get into art, and their calendar slowly fills up more and more because they try to keep up with all these different passions, and it kind of gets too much. And I think like we all have real obligations in our lives that we have to do on a day-to-day basis, and then we fill up our calendars with more and more hobbies to actually pursue, so that these become like a second job as well, and eventually we get into hobby or passion burnout. The reality is your hobbies are not your job, so don't treat them in that way. Sometimes I hate this quote, but it's true. We all have the same 24 hours each and every day, and instead of trying to use force and just force in more and more into our schedule, we should actually be really mindful and smart about our time and always question ourselves, do we actually use our time wisely? Even though we all have so many things to do, all of us actually will always find many hours each and every day to do one thing. What that is, you might ask? Exactly, scrolling your phone. And this one time I will not talk negative about the phone itself, but I just want to question why it is that each and every one of us, statistically speaking, the statistical human being who spends about 5 hours every day on their screens, why it actually is that it's so easy just to spend time on your devices, even though you might have the most stressful day with so many things that you actually have to do, and still find the time to spend stupid time scrolling Instagram, TikTok or YouTube Shorts. And the reason for that is actually that it fulfills 3 criteria. It is easy, it is always around you, and it is like an instant reward. You're bored, you see your phone, you grab your phone, you have fun, even though for just 5 minutes or so, and that is it. It is actually so hard to not waste time on our devices that we actually nowadays are concerned with how we can actually limit our screen time, let alone that I myself feel like I did already thousands of videos about this. What I want to ask you right here is, what if you could apply the same principle to other areas in life that you actually want to pursue, like your hobbies and passions? For example, my guitar here is always standing somewhere where I'm around. It's always in a position so that I walk by it constantly. And the reason why it's always around me is it is always around me to fulfill the first criteria, so that I constantly see it. I will then each and every time when I walk by it, grab it. It's really easy, play some chords, play a riff that I'm practicing at the moment. I get some instant dopamine, get rewarded, put it aside, and this way I can like maybe procrastinate on other things that I maybe don't want to do. And this is like a positive distraction that I have each and every day. Instead of grabbing my phone, I try to incorporate the things that I actually want to pursue into my everyday life by putting it around me and making it really hard not to do them. If you find ways to make it hard not to do them, like your phone for example, it is hard not to spend time on your phone. If you find ways, like in the guitar example, to incorporate them in some form or the other into your everyday life, where you will automatically gravitate towards doing them because they're fun, they're easy, they're always around you, you will really see so much more results in that hobby. I want to tell you about one moment where I thought like I had found the Holy Grail. There was this Russian TV show that I actually discovered on YouTube, and I thought, why not give it a try? My Russian skills were really not bad, but my listening comprehension at that time was really not in the best place. I first gave it a try, I turned on English subtitles, and I didn't have high expectations, but the show really turned out to be quite good, and it became one of my favorite shows actually. But after the second season, they stopped providing English subtitles, so I was actually forced to watch it in Russian without subtitles. And in the beginning it was really hard actually. I had really hard time to catch up, but after 1 or 2 seasons more, I actually started, because my Russian was technically not bad, I was just not that used to listening comprehension, started to understand about 90% of everything I listened to. And now I really fell in love with this show. I watched it every day. I was really looking forward to watch it every evening. I was procrastinating instead of studying. I was actually watching this show all the time. And when I discovered that this show had about 12 seasons with 20 episodes each, I thought like, man, this is the holy grail of studying languages, because I have fun and I'm productive. Sometimes I was procrastinating on other things, but I was productive because I was always improving my Russian skills doing so. I mean, it almost felt illegal how much fun I had while being productive. And I can tell you, if you find a way to actually incorporate your activity that you want to pursue, your passion, your hobby, into your everyday life, so that it is not a separate part of your everyday life that you put into your everyday, but that it actually is something that you would otherwise normally do anyway, then I can promise you that your results will really skyrocket in this regard. Because if it becomes a normal part of your everyday, it is basically free lunch. If you watch your favorite TV show in another language, it is free practice. If you like cycling and just cycle to work or to the grocery store, this is free exercise. Really much think about how what you actually want to pursue could become a part of your everyday life and not just something additional that you do, and your results will really much be on a completely different level. Most habits, most passions, most interests in our life actually fail and fade away because we actually just stop practicing them. We have little time, things get in the way, we're tired, we don't really have the motivation, and whoops, now there's nada. Let's take exercise for example, like for example running or going to the gym, and you've been hitting one personal record after the next. You have really had like some really great gym sessions in the past. You've really putting in so much effort, so much time, really great sessions. But now today, like you're tired, you have no motivation, you have little time, and you know today the workout isn't gonna be great anyway, so why bother? And that's exactly those days when actually many habits and many hobbies and many passions will actually just stop existing, because slowly and slowly we actually stop pursuing them, because we skip one time, then we skip the next time, because of this reason, because of another reason. Because many people have the mindset like, I can't replicate like my past great gym sessions, so today will really just be below average, so why put in the effort today anyway if I could do it tomorrow? The problem here is of course that you skip the workout today, which means that you're way more likely to be inconsistent and actually stop pursuing the hobby anyway. And in business theory and entrepreneurship, there's like this concept of MVP that has really much helped me in the past. MVP just stands for minimum viable product. And in a nutshell, when a startup or a company actually wants to develop a product, it always asks itself, what is the minimum product that we have to actually create so that we can get it out to the customer? Because many companies and many like startups actually fail because they overcomplicate things at the beginning, which leads to perfectionism, which leads to really long times to actually develop the product. They don't focus on what actually brings the most value, so they eventually will fail, whereas others succeed because they're faster and they have a better product in a shorter period of time. But what does this have to do with you? So like if we stick to the example of MVP, let's take electric cars for example. German car brands have usually been regarded as really good cars in the past, like Mercedes-Benz, like Audi, like BMW, and traditionally they have been really putting out great cars with great quality, but they actually failed to adapt in the modern electromobility electric car market because they did not think about the MVP, for example. What German car makers did is they thought, well, we did great cars in the past, so when we now will develop an electric car now, it has to be really top notch. It has to be really a really great car. So what they did is they actually waited for a long time because technology wasn't really ready in the last 10 to 20 years. So they waited. They wanted to wait until batteries become strong enough so that the cars will have enough reach. Then they waited for a long time because they wanted to develop like futuristic design or something like this. They wanted to really continue like the top-notch luxury or quality they had in the past with their normal combustion cars. So they really took a long time to develop these cars. They took lots of effort. They like really put in many details. They were perfectionistic about it, which actually led to them waiting for such a long time, offering products that are relatively to others for normal consumers absolutely overpriced, that many people can't afford, don't want to buy, which actually led to them losing in today's electromobility market. They don't have really that many customers nowadays. Other companies are nowadays doing much better because these German car brands waited way too long, they were way too perfectionistic, they were doing too much overthinking, which led to them now failing in the electro market and losing lots of the market share they had previously. Whereas another great example, Tesla did it way different than they back then. Because what Tesla did in the early 2000s was actually that they knew they wanted to bring out an electric car. So they were a new company. So what did they do? They thought about what is the MVP, the minimum viable product, which means what is the bare minimum we have to actually present to the customer that it is an electric car so that we can sell it as quickly as possible. And they thought like, I need a car. And I need an electric engine. So what they did is they just took in an existing car, the Lotus Elise, I think, and put an electric engine that they built inside of it, and they sold it. That was it. No over-engineering, no over-complicating of things, no waiting for a long time. This car was by no means perfect. It was not the best car they did. It was not that good compared to today's cars. But what it allowed them to do is to really grab lots of market share, lots of attention, lots of knowledge early on, which really made them who they are, because now in Europe, North America, Australia, whatsoever, Tesla is, I think, the most popular electric car by far. And what I want to say with this, for example, is you got to think about no matter what you're doing, but if we take exercise, for example, that you really want to think about what is the MVP that you can do in this hobby, in this passion, in this interest that you have. What is the, on bad days, minimum thing that you can do that would count as, for example, a workout. If you normally do like really awesome gym sessions where you like squat 200 kilos and deadlift like 200 kilos, you really want to think about what is the minimum thing that you can do so that you won't skip the workout, that you won't get off track. And this could mean, for example, that when exercising, this could mean if you normally do like, for example, 6 exercises and 1 workout, maybe just do 1 or 2 of, but really go hard and push yourself in this 1 or 2 exercises. It sounds a bit absurd, but it makes you practice more often. It makes you really accountable. It makes you really do the thing you actually want to do more often instead of skipping it all the time. And if you get over perfectionism and overthinking in this regard and actually just do it, even if it's less than usual, even if it's not perfect, you will see yourself actually sticking to it and showing up day in, day out, doing the thing you actually want to do. And even if those are tiny steps, they are steps and they actually move the needle forward. Winter is coming. And I mean it quite literally, it's quite cold outside. But when it comes to your passions, you really have to embrace and actually accept that there are different seasons when it comes to your interests and your hobbies, etc. And that there are especially different seasons where you might not be that interested in actually doing something that you were really super passionate just a month ago about. And I think it's really helpful to have the mindset that if you are someone that has multiple hobbies, you gotta accept that you can't be perfect in a sense. And you shouldn't aim to be perfect in a sense because it's your hobbies. It's what you are doing for fun. And you should not aim to, like, as I said earlier, to put everything perfectly into everyday practice. Have like the perfect schedule that you follow like if it were your job. And it's completely normal to not follow everything perfectionistically every day. But it's rather about what actually sticks in the long run, so to speak. I think in a grand scheme of things, you're not that much happier if you actually completely achieve achieved every goal that you had in every hobby, like when you were 16, for example, and worked years and years on end to actually be perfect in all of these areas, if you did not enjoy what you were doing? And again, it is not your job. You don't have to do anything. And creativity and passion actually arises when you have fun what you're doing, when it's interesting to you. So I think it's completely fine when something stops being interesting for a while. Again, what I said earlier, it's about what actually sticks in the long run. For example, recently I picked up drawing again, which I basically didn't do for about 6 years by now. I always was interested in it, but I just stopped doing it, and I thought maybe another season will come where I will pick up that hobby again. Same goes for chess, for example. I was like kind of really interested in chess some years ago, but it was only this year again where I picked it up again. You never know where life actually leads to, and it's about actually having fun along the way, in my opinion, to actually do something that you're interested in. And I think this is like what many polymaths like Leonardo da Vinci actually did as well, I think. I was at an exhibition recently where they portrayed the life of Leonardo da Vinci, and it was all about that this man had lots of interests. And it's not like he followed like this strict schedule every day, but no, there were seasons in his life where he was really into military, when he was into art, into biology and autopsies, art, the Mona Lisa. But there's so many other things he did. He made so many sketches about the first parachutes, about tanks, about whatnot, everything and whatnot. And what I want to say is that it's completely fine. If you want to excel at many passions, just accept that you have many passions and don't make such a big fuss out of it and try to be perfectionistic. Do something meaningful that makes you have fun, that is interesting to you every day. And in a couple of years from now, if you actually used every day in a sense that was really useful and fun to you, you won't recognize yourself how much you actually developed in these passions and interests that you have. As I said, you never know where life leads you to, but in my opinion, it's actually most important to have fun along the way. If you have multiple hobbies, it can be really hard to actually pursue all of them and make decent progress on all of them. And I think one of the most important reasons actually where many people fail is, as I said in the MVP point, is that they actually will skip sessions, that they will skip doing it because they think they're not in the greatest mood, in the greatest condition at the right moment. And I actually made this video right here that is all about that if you just start, then you have basically already won. And actually just starting, just showing up will actually give you an enormous advantage over other people in this field. So really much make sure to watch this video right here. And besides that, thank you so much for watching and hopefully see you the next time.